In a galaxy teeming with life, where civilizations rise and fall on the tides of commerce, one route holds the key to ultimate power. Billions of lives depend on its flow of resources, technology, and secrets. But when greed and ambition collide, the stars themselves tremble under the weight of war. Witness the clash of empires, the betrayal of allies, and the birth of legends in a conflict that will reshape the cosmos forever. Will peace prevail, or will the galaxy burn? Subscribe now to uncover the truth behind the Blood Route Dash. Deep within the spiral arms of the Andromeda Galaxy, where nebulae painted the void with colors no artist could replicate, lay a network of trade routes older than most civilizations. These pathways were not mere lines on a star chart, but lifelines pulsing with energy, carrying goods, ideas, and dreams across light years. Among them stood the Crimson Corridor, known colloquially as the Blood Route Dash. It was neither the shortest nor the safest path, yet it connected vital systems rich in rare minerals, exotic flora, and technological marvels coveted by every species capable of interstellar travel. For centuries, control over this route had been shared uneasily among four dominant factions. The Valari Collective, a hive-minded insectoid race renowned for their efficiency. The Silveran Concord, sentient plant beings who valued harmony above all else. The Dracthari Dominion, proud warrior reptiles driven by honor and conquest. And the Terran Alliance, humans who had clawed their way from Earth's cradle to become major players in galactic politics. Each faction contributed ships, resources, and envoys to maintain the delicate balance required to keep the route operational. However, beneath the surface of cooperation simmered resentment, envy, and mistrust. It began subtly, a missing shipment here, a delayed convoy there. Rumors spread faster than hyperdrive engines about sabotage, piracy, and espionage. Some whispered of shadowy figures manipulating events from behind the scenes, while others pointed accusing fingers at rival factions. Tensions escalated when a Valari scout vessel discovered wreckage along the outer rim of the route. What should have been routine salvage turned into outrage when evidence suggested deliberate destruction. The insectoids claimed foul play, demanding accountability. The Silverans urged patience and investigation, but the Dracthari saw weakness and hesitation and accused the plant beings of complicity. Humans, ever pragmatic, tried to mediate, only to find themselves caught between accusations of favoritism. As diplomatic channels frayed, military forces quietly mobilized. Fleets previously stationed far from the route now drifted closer, cloaked in neutrality but bristling with intent. Leaders once willing to negotiate grew rigid, their rhetoric sharpened by fear and pride. The Crimson Corridor, once a symbol of unity, became a flashpoint for division. No single act ignited the war, but rather a cascade of missteps, miscalculations, and missed opportunities. By the time the first shots rang out, it was too late to turn back. The galaxy would never be the same. Understanding the true nature of the Crimson Corridor required delving deeper than its shimmering nebulae and glittering star clusters. This trade route did more than connect distant worlds, it defined them. Entire economies thrived because of its existence, from mining colonies extracting precious metals to research outposts unlocking mysteries of quantum mechanics. For the Valari, whose hive-mind society operated like a vast machine, the route represented logistical perfection. Every shipment, every exchange, followed precise patterns optimized for maximum efficiency. Their drones buzzed tirelessly, ensuring nothing disrupted the flow. The Silveran perspective differed entirely. To these plant-based beings, the route was akin to a living organism, its health dependent on mutual care and respect. They viewed disruptions not merely as inconveniences, but as violations of natural order. When tensions rose, they sought consensus, believing dialogue could heal even the deepest wounds. Yet their pacifism often came across as naivety to other races, particularly the Dracthari, who equated strength with dominance. For the reptilian warriors, controlling the route meant proving superiority, both militarily and culturally. Their ancestors had carved empires from barren wastelands, and they saw no reason why modern times should demand compromise. Humans, meanwhile, approached the route pragmatically. Having risen rapidly through technological innovation, they understood the value of adaptability. Where others saw chaos, humanity saw opportunity. Their merchant guilds brokered deals, their diplomats smoothed ruffled feathers, and their scientists studied anomalies along the route, always seeking an edge. But adaptability had its limits. As mistrust grew, so did paranoia. Each faction began interpreting neutral actions as threats, escalating minor incidents into full-blown crises. The route itself seemed almost sentient, responding to the discord brewing around it. Navigational hazards multiplied, asteroid fields shifted unpredictably, gravitational anomalies intensified, and mysterious signals interfered with communications. Some speculated that ancient guardians protected the corridor, punishing those who disturbed its balance. Others dismissed such notions as superstition, attributing changes to natural phenomena. Regardless of origin, these challenges forced factions to rely heavily on shared infrastructure, further entangling their fates. Amidst this web of interdependence loomed questions of morality. Was it right for any one group to claim dominion over something so fundamental to galactic survival? Could coexistence truly endure without trust? Or was conflict inevitable, a reflection of the universe's harsh truths? As preparations for war accelerated, few paused to consider these philosophical dilemmas. Instead, leaders focused on strategy, logistics, and propaganda, framing the coming battle as a fight for justice, survival, or destiny. The stage was set, though none could predict how many lives would be lost before the curtain fell. As the Crimson Corridor teetered on the brink of collapse, whispers of betrayal began to ripple through the factions. The Velari Collective, masters of surveillance and data analysis, intercepted encrypted transmissions suggesting clandestine meetings between high-ranking Silveran diplomats and rogue Dracthree warlords. To the insectoids, this was undeniable proof of treachery, a betrayal not just of trust but of the sacred balance they believed the route demanded. Their hive mind processed the information with cold precision, calculating probabilities and potential outcomes. The conclusion was clear. The Silverans were conspiring to destabilize the route, perhaps even to seize control outright. For their part, the Silveran Concord vehemently denied any wrongdoing. Their leaders argued that the intercepted messages were fabrications, designed to sow discord and justify aggression. But denial did little to quell suspicion. The plant being's reputation for pacifism worked against them. Many saw their refusal to retaliate as evidence of guilt rather than restraint. Meanwhile, the Dracthree Dominion seized upon the chaos, using the accusations to rally their people. War drums echoed across their homeworlds, and their fleets expanded rapidly, bolstered by promises of glory and conquest. The Terran Alliance found itself caught in an impossible position. Humanity's reliance on diplomacy had always been a double-edged sword, effective in peacetime but woefully inadequate in moments of crisis. As mediators, they attempted to broker talks between the factions, but each meeting devolved into accusations and posturing. Behind closed doors, human analysts pieced together fragments of intelligence, searching for clarity amidst the noise. What they uncovered was far more insidious than simple betrayal. Hidden within layers of corrupted data were traces of a fifth presence, an unknown entity manipulating events from the shadows. This revelation sent shockwaves through the Alliance. Who or what could be orchestrating such a complex web of deceit? Some speculated it was remnants of an ancient civilization, long thought extinct, seeking to reclaim their former dominance. Others pointed to corporate interests, shadowy megacorporations operating beyond the reach of galactic law. Whatever the truth, one thing became certain. The conflict over the Crimson Corridor was no longer about trade or territory. It had become something darker, more primal, a struggle for survival against forces both seen and unseen. When the first strike came, it was swift, brutal, and devastatingly effective. A convoy of Velari supply ships, escorted by a small fleet of drones, vanished without warning near the outer edges of the route. Hours later, debris fields littered with wreckage confirmed the worst fears. Piracy had escalated to outright warfare. The Velari response was immediate and overwhelming. Swarms of attack drones descended upon suspected pirate bases, obliterating everything in their path. Entire colonies along the route were evacuated as collateral damage mounted. The attack shattered whatever fragile peace remained. Each faction interpreted the strike differently. To the Velari, it was confirmation of Silveran duplicity, a calculated move to weaken their grip on the route. The Silverans, however, saw it as further evidence of Dracthree aggression, believing the reptilian warriors had orchestrated the attack to frame them. The Dracthree, predictably, accused the humans of cowardice, claiming the Terran alliance had allowed the attack to happen in hopes of gaining leverage. And the humans? They scrambled to contain the fallout, deploying reconnaissance vessels to investigate while desperately trying to prevent further escalation. But the damage was done. Retaliatory strikes followed in quick succession, each side blaming the others for perpetuating the cycle of violence. The once bustling trade hubs along the route transformed into battlegrounds, their gleaming spires reduced to smoldering ruins. Refugees fled in droves, seeking sanctuary on neutral planets ill-equipped to handle the influx. Commerce ground to a halt, leaving entire sectors of the galaxy on the verge of economic collapse. Yet even as the stars dimmed under clouds of smoke and ash, new alliances began to form, some forged in desperation, others in ambition. In the shadows, the mysterious Fifth Presence continued its machinations, feeding misinformation to key players and exploiting every weakness it could find. Its ultimate goal remained elusive, but one fact was undeniable. Whoever controlled the Crimson Corridor held the power to reshape the galaxy itself. And as the flames of war spread, consuming ship after ship, world after world, none dared imagine what horrors might await if the route fell into the wrong hands. The war quickly evolved into a multifaceted nightmare, with battles erupting simultaneously across dozens of systems. No single front existed. Instead, skirmishes flared unpredictably, like sparks igniting dry tinder. Fleets clashed in the void, their weapons lighting up the darkness with bursts of plasma and laser fire. Planetary invasions turned lush worlds into barren wastelands, their atmospheres poisoned by orbital bombardments. Even civilian populations found themselves drawn into the fray, whether as unwilling conscripts or victims of indiscriminate attacks. Each faction brought its own strengths and weaknesses to the battlefield. The Valari relied heavily on numbers and precision, deploying swarms of drones programmed to overwhelm opponents through sheer force of attrition. Their tactics were efficient but impersonal, treating war as another logistical problem to solve. The Silverans, by contrast, fought with a blend of organic and technological ingenuity, using bioengineered constructs to heal damaged ecosystems and defend their territories. Their approach emphasized sustainability, though critics dismissed it as impractical in the face of total war. The Dracthri embraced chaos, reveling in the brutality of combat. Their warriors viewed every engagement as a test of honor, charging headlong into enemy lines with reckless abandon. While their ferocity inspired fear, it also left them vulnerable to ambushes and strategic missteps. The Terran Alliance, meanwhile, excelled at adaptability. Human commanders combined traditional military doctrine with cutting-edge technology, creating hybrid strategies tailored to specific threats. This flexibility made them formidable adversaries but also unpredictable allies. Amidst the carnage, stories of heroism and tragedy emerged. A Valari scout sacrificed itself to disable a Dracthri dreadnought, buying precious time for evacuees to escape. A Silveran medic risked capture to tend to wounded enemies, embodying the ideals of compassion her people cherished. A human pilot executed a daring maneuver to save a civilian freighter, earning accolades, but drawing ire from those who questioned the cost of such gestures. These moments of humanity, or its equivalent, offered fleeting glimpses of hope in an otherwise bleak landscape. Yet for every act of valor, there were countless atrocities. Civilian transports were targeted, leading to accusations of genocide. Prisoners of war were subjected to unimaginable tortures, their suffering broadcast to demoralize enemies. Propaganda machines churned out lies and half-truths, painting opponents as monsters incapable of redemption. Trust, already tenuous, eroded completely, replaced by hatred and fear. The Crimson Corridor, once a symbol of unity, became a scar etched across the galaxy, a reminder of how easily cooperation could devolve into catastrophe. As the war raged on, uncovering the identity of the shadowy architect became paramount. Intelligence operatives from all factions pooled resources, sharing classified data in unprecedented displays of cooperation. Despite lingering animosities, the realization dawned that defeating this hidden foe might be the only way to restore stability. Leads pointed in myriad directions, Ancient ruins hinted at forgotten civilizations. Corporate records revealed suspicious transactions, and intercepted communications suggested ties to rogue AI networks. Finally, a breakthrough came when a joint task force discovered a derelict vessel drifting near the edge of known space. Inside, they found evidence linking the entity to a long-extinct race called the Caliph, renowned for their mastery of quantum manipulation. According to fragmented archives, the Caliph had constructed the Crimson Corridor eons ago, embedding safeguards to ensure it served as a tool for peace rather than profit. When their empire collapsed, these safeguards remained dormant until recent events reactivated them, manifesting as the mysterious Fifth Presence. What shocked investigators most was the nature of the Caliph's legacy. Far from benevolent guardians, they appeared to have engineered the route as a testing ground, a crucible designed to push civilizations to their limits. Success meant proving worthy of inheriting their knowledge. Failure meant annihilation. The architect wasn't merely stirring conflict. It was accelerating evolution, forcing species to adapt or perish. This revelation sparked heated debates. Was the Caliph agenda ethical? Did survival justify such cruelty? Or was the galaxy better off destroying the route entirely? Regardless of moral quandaries, one truth stood firm. Confronting the architect required uniting against a common enemy. For the first time since hostilities began, representatives from all factions gathered aboard a neutral station to forge a plan. It wouldn't be easy. Centuries of mistrust couldn't dissolve overnight, but necessity bred determination. If they failed, the Crimson Corridor wouldn't just fall into the wrong hands. It would cease to exist altogether, plunging the galaxy into darkness. With the architect's origins exposed, the tide of the war shifted dramatically. Factions that had spent months tearing each other apart now redirected their efforts toward dismantling the Caliph construct. Coordinated assaults targeted key nodes along the route, disabling traps and defenses embedded within its infrastructure. Scientists worked tirelessly to decode the alien algorithms governing the system, hoping to sever the architect's influence without collapsing the entire network. Progress was slow and fraught with setbacks. Entire task forces vanished during missions, their fates unknown. Sabotage attempts often backfired, triggering catastrophic chain reactions that claimed lives on all sides. Yet despite these challenges, incremental victories began to accumulate. A previously impassable asteroid field cleared unexpectedly, allowing safe passage for relief convoys. A malfunctioning gravity well stabilized, restoring access to vital mining operations. Each success, no matter how minor, reignited hope that the tide could be turned. Morale surged among the coalition forces, buoyed by tales of unlikely triumphs. A team of Velari engineers collaborated with Silveran biologists to create adaptive shielding capable of countering Caliph tech. Dractari warriors, typically disdainful of non-combat roles, volunteered for hazardous repair missions, earning grudging respect from their former foes. Humans spearheaded reconnaissance efforts, mapping previously uncharted regions of the route and identifying weak points in the architect's defenses. Even as unity grew, dissent simmered beneath the surface. Hardliners within each faction questioned the wisdom of allying with former enemies, arguing that victory should come through dominance rather than compromise. Assassination plots surfaced, targeting key figures advocating for cooperation. Yet these attempts only strengthened resolve, galvanizing moderates to push harder for peace. The architect, sensing its grip slipping, retaliated with increasing ferocity, unleashing waves of automated drones and triggering environmental disasters across contested zones. Still, the coalition persevered. Slowly but surely, they chipped away at the architect's hold, reclaiming sections of the route piece by painstaking piece. For the first time since the conflict began, light pierced the darkness, not just in terms of physical progress, but in the hearts of those fighting for a future worth saving. The Crimson Corridor, though battered and scarred, refused to die, and neither would those determined to protect it. Every step forward came at a cost, and the scars of war ran deeper than any weapon could inflict. Families were torn apart, homes destroyed, and dreams extinguished under the weight of endless strife. Civilians bore the brunt of the suffering, their lives upended by forces beyond their control. Refugee camps overflowed with displaced persons, many of whom succumbed to disease or starvation before aid arrived. Children grew up knowing nothing but fear, their innocence stolen by the relentless march of battle. Among the soldiers, camaraderie mingled with grief. Bonds formed in the heat of combat provided solace, yet each loss left an indelible mark. A Valari commander watched helplessly as his subordinates perished in a kamikaze mission to disable the Caliph node. A Silveran healer tended to dying comrades, her vines wilting under the strain of absorbing so much pain. A Dracthari warrior carried the charred remains of his squad mates back to their families, vowing vengeance even as tears streamed down his scaled cheeks. A human pilot scribbled letters to loved ones she feared she'd never see again, sealing them in capsules intended for posthumous delivery. Leadership, too, exacted its toll. Decisions weighed heavily on those tasked with guiding their people through chaos. A Valari queen sacrificed millions of drones to preserve core infrastructure, knowing full well the backlash such choices would provoke. A Silveran elder wept silently as he ordered the destruction of forests cultivated over millennia, prioritizing survival over tradition. A Dracthari warlord banished his own son for questioning orders, unable to reconcile duty with love. A human admiral faced mutiny after authorizing a risky gambit that cost thousands of lives but secured a crucial advantage. Yet amid the devastation, acts of selflessness shone like beacons. A merchant ship diverted from lucrative routes to deliver supplies to starving refugees. A scientist abandoned lucrative research opportunities to develop life-saving technologies. An artist painted murals on ruined walls, transforming despair into beauty. These gestures, though small, reminded everyone involved why they fought, not for power or revenge, but for the chance to rebuild something better. The sacrifices piled up, layer upon layer, forming a foundation upon which hope could grow. Though the road ahead remained treacherous, the collective determination of countless individuals ensured that the fight would continue. The Crimson Corridor had taken much, but it had also given rise to resilience, courage, and an unyielding belief in the possibility of renewal. By the time the Coalition reached the heart of the Crimson Corridor, the Architect's influence had waned significantly. What remained was a desperate, cornered entity lashing out with everything it had. Automated defenses lined the final stretch of the route, each more sophisticated than the last. Energy shields pulsed with malevolent intent, while gravitational anomalies twisted space-time into nightmarish configurations. Pilots reported hallucinations, visions of past failures and future horrors that tested their sanity as much as their skills. The assault on the Central Nexus resembled nothing less than a suicide mission. Ships launched in waves, only to be obliterated moments later. Ground teams ventured into labyrinthine structures filled with lethal traps, emerging, if they emerged at all, with critical intel but heavy losses. Progress slowed to a crawl, frustration mounting as the Coalition struggled to breach the Architect's inner sanctum. Then, inspiration struck. Drawing on lessons learned throughout the campaign, scientists devised a novel strategy combining elements from each faction's expertise. Valari drones acted as decoys, drawing fire while Silveran bioconstructs infiltrated shield generators undetected. Dracthari warriors stormed fortified positions, clearing paths for human engineers to disable core systems. Together, they dismantled layer after layer of defense, inching closer to the Architect's core. Inside, they discovered something unexpected, not a machine, but a living organism, a massive crystalline entity pulsating with energy. It communicated telepathically, projecting images of its creators and their vision for the galaxy. The message was clear: prove yourselves worthy, or face extinction. Coalition leaders hesitated, torn between awe and anger. Had they been pawns in some cosmic experiment all along? Ultimately, pragmatism won out. Using a combination of brute force and clever engineering, they severed the entity's connection to the route, effectively neutralizing its control. As the Architect dissolved into inert matter, the corridor stabilized, its safeguards deactivated permanently. Cheers erupted across the Coalition fleet, tempered by the knowledge of how close they'd come to failure. The Crimson Corridor was free, but at what cost? With the Architect defeated, attention turned to repairing the damage wrought by years of conflict. Entire sectors lay in ruins, their economies shattered and populations decimated. Trade routes once bustling with activity now resembled ghost towns, haunted by memories of prosperity lost. Restoring functionality required not just rebuilding infrastructure, but healing wounds inflicted on society itself. Engineers worked around the clock, constructing new relay stations and reinforcing existing ones. Advanced materials developed during the war proved invaluable, enabling faster repairs and greater durability. Mining operations resumed cautiously, with strict regulations ensuring sustainable practices. Agricultural initiatives focused on replenishing depleted resources, introducing hardy crops capable of thriving in harsh conditions. Diplomacy played a crucial role in reconstruction efforts. Leaders convened regularly to address lingering grievances and establish frameworks for peaceful coexistence. Treaties formalized agreements regarding shared usage of the route, with penalties for violations enforced collectively. Cultural exchange programs promoted understanding, fostering friendships where enmity once reigned. Education campaigns highlighted the importance of cooperation, instilling values of unity in younger generations. Economic revitalization presented unique challenges. Many businesses had folded during the war, leaving markets fragmented and unstable. Governments implemented stimulus packages, offering loans and grants to encourage entrepreneurship. Trade incentives attracted investors, gradually revitalizing local economies. Tourism emerged as a surprising boon, with adventurers flocking to explore newly accessible regions of the route. Despite progress, tensions occasionally flared. Old rivalries resurfaced, threatening to derail reconciliation efforts. However, the memory of shared sacrifice served as a powerful deterrent, reminding all parties of what they stood to lose by returning to conflict. The Crimson Corridor, though scarred, symbolized resilience, a testament to the power of collaboration in overcoming adversity. Its rebirth marked not just the restoration of trade, but the dawn of a new era defined by mutual respect and enduring peace. Years after the war ended, its legacy lingered like smoke after a wildfire. Monuments erected along the Crimson Corridor honored those who gave their lives in service of unity, their names etched into plaques and statues visible to passing travelers. Museums chronicled the conflict, preserving artifacts and documents for future study. Scholars debated endlessly about the morality of the Caliph experiment, some viewing it as a necessary evil while others condemned it as cruel exploitation. Cultural shifts reflected changing attitudes toward war and cooperation. Art forms flourished, inspired by themes of reconciliation and renewal. Literature explored psychological impacts of prolonged conflict, giving voice to experiences often overlooked. Music fused traditional styles from various species, creating harmonious blends that transcended linguistic barriers. Even cuisine evolved, blending ingredients and techniques from different worlds to create dishes symbolizing unity. Technological advancements accelerated, driven by innovations born of necessity. Quantum computing, originally developed to decode Caliph algorithms, revolutionized industries ranging from medicine to entertainment. Bioengineering techniques pioneered by Silverins found applications in environmental restoration projects worldwide. Military technologies adapted for civilian use improved safety and efficiency in transportation and communication. Politically, the war reshaped galactic governance. A permanent council formed to oversee the Crimson Corridor, comprising representatives from all major factions. Dispute resolution mechanisms prevented minor disagreements from escalating into full-blown crises. Transparency initiatives fostered trust, encouraging open dialogue and collaboration. Power dynamics shifted subtly, with smaller factions gaining influence through active participation in decision-making processes. Most importantly, the conflict taught valuable lessons about interdependence. No single species possessed all answers. True strength lay in diversity and cooperation. The Crimson Corridor, once a source of division, became a beacon of hope, a reminder that even amidst chaos, unity could prevail. Its story served as both cautionary tale and inspirational narrative, urging future generations to learn from past mistakes and strive for a brighter tomorrow. Though the immediate threat had passed, questions surrounding the Caliph and their enigmatic construct remained unanswered. Were they truly extinct? Or did remnants linger somewhere in the galaxy's vast expanse? Why had they chosen this particular moment to reactivate their safeguards? And what implications did their actions hold for the future of interstellar relations? Archaeological expeditions scoured ancient ruins, uncovering tantalizing clues but few definitive answers. Fragments of Caliph technology hinted at capabilities far beyond current understanding, raising concerns about potential misuse. Ethical dilemmas arose regarding preservation versus exploitation of these discoveries. Should humanity tamper with relics of a civilization whose motives remained ambiguous? Speculation abounded about the architect's true nature. Some theorized it retained residual consciousness, lying dormant until conditions warranted reactivation. Others posited alternative explanations. Perhaps it had been a rogue creation, acting independently of its creator's intentions. Regardless of origin, its existence underscored fundamental uncertainties about the universe and humanity's place within it. Philosophical debates raged, challenging conventional notions of morality and purpose. Could a higher intelligence justify manipulating lesser beings for perceived greater good? Did survival inherently validate such actions? Or did ethics demand accountability regardless of outcome? These discussions extended beyond academic circles, influencing art, literature, and public discourse. Meanwhile, rumors circulated about similar constructs elsewhere in the galaxy. Reports of anomalous phenomena near distant trade routes fueled paranoia, prompting calls for increased vigilance. Governments invested heavily in early warning systems, determined to prevent another catastrophe. Yet underlying anxiety persisted, the knowledge that somewhere, lurking in the shadows, another Caliph artifact might awaken, ready to test the galaxy anew. Against the backdrop of uncertainty, life along the Crimson Corridor blossomed anew. Colonies rebuilt, their skylines reaching skyward once more. Markets thrived, filled with exotic goods and eager traders. Ports buzzed with activity, welcoming visitors from far-flung corners of the galaxy. The sense of vibrancy and possibility infused daily existence, driving innovation and creativity. Young entrepreneurs seized opportunities created by shifting dynamics. Startups specializing in cross-species commerce flourished, bridging gaps between disparate cultures. Artists collaborated across racial lines, producing works that celebrated diversity and interconnectedness. Scientists embarked on joint ventures, pooling knowledge to tackle shared challenges. Education systems incorporated interdisciplinary approaches, preparing students for careers requiring adaptability and empathy. Social movements gained momentum, championing causes ranging from environmental conservation to social justice. Activists advocated for equitable distribution of resources, ensuring marginalized communities benefited from renewed prosperity. Grassroots organizations promoted inclusivity, challenging prejudices rooted in wartime propaganda. Media platforms amplified voices traditionally excluded from mainstream narratives, fostering dialogue and understanding. Even leisure activities reflected changing priorities. Sports leagues featuring mixed-species teams drew enthusiastic crowds, showcasing athleticism and camaraderie. Festivals celebrated cultural heritage while embracing modern influences, creating vibrant tapestries of tradition and innovation. Virtual reality experiences allowed participants to explore historical landmarks or simulate diplomatic negotiations, promoting education and empathy. Through it all, the spirit of cooperation endured. Despite lingering doubts and unresolved mysteries, the galaxy moved forward, guided by a shared commitment to building a better future. The Crimson Corridor, though forever changed, embodied this resolve, a living testament to the triumph of unity over division, hope over despair. Peace, when achieved, proved fragile, a delicate balance requiring constant maintenance. Diplomatic summits replaced battles, with leaders negotiating terms instead of trading blows. Agreements codified rights and responsibilities, establishing guidelines for equitable resource allocation and conflict resolution. Enforcement mechanisms deterred violations, though occasional breaches tested the system's robustness. Public sentiment vacillated between optimism and skepticism. Many welcomed the cessation of hostilities, eager to embrace newfound stability. Others harbored deep-seated distrust, convinced that old animosities would resurface given opportunity. Media outlets reflected this dichotomy, oscillating between celebratory coverage and investigative exposés highlighting ongoing tensions. Security measures tightened, reflecting heightened awareness of potential threats. Surveillance networks monitored activity along the route, flagging suspicious behavior for review. Militaries maintained readiness levels, prepared to respond swiftly to provocations. Intelligence agencies collaborated closely, sharing information to preempt crises before they escalated. Efforts to promote reconciliation intensified. Exchange programs facilitated interaction between former adversaries, fostering personal connections that transcended political boundaries. Community initiatives encouraged dialogue, addressing root causes of conflict and promoting mutual understanding. Educational curricula emphasized history's lessons, instilling appreciation for hard-won peace. Yet beneath the surface, fault lines persisted. Economic disparities exacerbated resentment, particularly among disenfranchised groups feeling left behind by rapid recovery efforts. Political factions exploited these grievances, advocating nationalist agendas that undermined cooperative ideals. External pressures added complexity, as neighboring systems eyed the route covetously, eager to capitalize on perceived vulnerabilities. Despite challenges, the coalition persevered. Leaders reaffirmed commitments to collective security, pledging support in times of need. Citizens engaged actively, participating in civic processes and holding authorities accountable. Slowly but surely, trust rebuilt, brick by painstaking brick. The Crimson Corridor, though still precarious, stood as a monument to perseverance, a reminder that peace, though fragile, was worth fighting for. As decades passed, the Crimson Corridor evolved into something greater than anyone could have imagined. No longer merely a trade route, it became a living organism, a pulsating vein connecting disparate parts of the galaxy. Its story intertwined with countless others, weaving a rich tapestry of triumphs, tragedies, and transformations. Future generations looked back on this chapter not with bitterness but with pride, recognizing it as a pivotal moment in galactic history. Reflections on the conflict shaped philosophies and policies alike. Historians dissected decisions made during wartime, analyzing successes and failures to inform contemporary strategies. Philosophers pondered existential queries raised by encounters with the Caliph, grappling with implications for humanity's place in the cosmos. Artists captured essence of struggle and redemption, immortalizing heroes and villains alike in vivid detail. Institutions dedicated to preserving peace emerged, funded by contributions from grateful citizens. Think tanks conducted research on conflict prevention, developing models to anticipate and mitigate risks. Training programs equipped diplomats with tools needed to navigate complex negotiations, emphasizing empathy and adaptability. Public awareness campaigns highlighted importance of vigilance, reminding everyone that complacency invited calamity. Technological progress continued apace, fueled by collaborative endeavors. Breakthroughs in energy production enabled cleaner, more efficient methods of travel. Medical advances eradicated diseases once considered incurable, extending lifespans and improving quality of life. Space exploration expanded horizons, revealing wonders previously unimaginable. Each achievement reinforced belief in collective potential, inspiring further innovation. Ultimately, the Crimson Corridor symbolized eternal journey, not destination but process, ongoing and ever-evolving. It represented humanity's capacity for growth, resilience in face of adversity, and unwavering pursuit of betterment. Though challenges persisted, spirit of cooperation endured, guiding galaxy toward brighter futures. And so, under watchful eyes of stars above, voyage continued, propelled by dreams of unity and promise of tomorrow. Subscribe now to stay updated on more thrilling tales from the cosmos.